It all started with a normal morning. My truck was parked in my driveway, as it always was, legally and with all the proper documentation in place. But that morning, I noticed something odd. A man, wearing a vest with HOA officer printed on it, was pacing around my truck, clipboard in hand. He wasn't just walking by or doing a casual check. No, he was inspecting my vehicle like it was the subject of some sort of investigation. At first, I thought maybe it was some sort of joke or prank. Who had ever heard of an HOA cop? There were no such things. As far as I knew, the HOA had no enforcement authority outside of collecting dues and issuing notices for cosmetic violations like untrimmed lawns. But this guy, he looked too serious for it to be a prank. And he definitely wasn't acting like any kind of professional. The vest he wore said HOA officer, but everything about him screamed amateur. The plastic badge he flashed, the way he strutted around like a kid playing dress up, none of it added up. He looked like someone trying to play pretend, and it didn't sit right with me. I decided to approach him. I walked out with my coffee in hand, feeling a bit confused but mostly irritated. "You lost?" I called out, trying to get his attention. He didn't even look up from his clipboard. "Nope," he said, his tone cocky. "Just doing my rounds. This truck's in violation of HOA code. Oversized tires, aftermarket tint, and proper driveway clearance. You've got fines racking up already. $500 so far. And if it's not corrected in 72 hours, your vehicle may be seized." I stopped dead in my tracks. Seized? The idea that this man had the authority to take my vehicle was laughable. I stared at him for a beat, trying to make sense of it. "Seized by who?" I asked. "By the HOA," he said, puffing his chest out. "We have the authority to enforce community standards. Community protection. That's what I'm here for." I couldn't help but laugh. Community protection. There's no such thing as an HOA cop. You're trespassing, and right now, you're making threats about stealing my truck. That's attempted theft. At that, he lowered his sunglasses just enough to glare at me. "You want to argue? Fine, but you'll regret it. You can either pay the fines, or we'll escalate it with the HOA. Your choice." That was the tipping point. I stepped closer, not backing down, and my voice was sharp. "Let me explain something to you. This truck is mine. It's registered with the DMV, it's insured, and it's parked legally in my own driveway. The HOA has no right to touch it. You have no jurisdiction here. So unless you want me calling the sheriff's department right now, you're going to back off." For a brief second, I saw him falter. His bravado dropped a notch, but then that smirk slid back onto his face. "Go ahead, tough guy. Call whoever you want. The whole board will back me up. In fact, why don't you take it up with them yourself? The office opens in an hour." I didn't waste another second talking to him. I turned on my heel, locking eyes with him for a final moment before heading to my truck. Fine. If the HOA thought they had the power to send out pretend cops, I'd go straight to the source and find out what was really going on. When I got to the HOA office that morning, I was already simmering with anger. The idea that someone was acting like a law enforcement officer in my neighborhood using threats and intimidation to bully homeowners didn't sit well with me. It was time for some answers. Inside the office, I found the president of the HOA, Marissa Vale, sitting behind a massive oak desk. Her office was immaculate, with a plaque bearing her name shining in the fluorescent light. She had that look about her, the kind of person who always seemed to dare you to challenge her authority. I didn't waste any time. I laid it out plain and simple. "One of your so-called enforcers trespassed on my property this morning. He threatened to fine me $500 and said the HOA had the right to seize my truck. He was wearing a vest that said HOA cop. Care to explain that?" Marissa didn't even blink. She just leaned back in her chair and folded her hands. "That would be Victor Hale. He's part of our compliance team. The board authorized him to conduct property checks, officer." I repeated, laughing in disbelief. There's no such thing as an HOA officer. What you have is a guy impersonating law enforcement. And that's illegal. Did you know that under Texas Penal Code 37.11, it's a felony to impersonate a peace officer? Her smile didn't falter. She just leaned in a little. We have every right to enforce community standards. If your truck is in violation, the fines are justified. And yes, we can remove vehicles that present a hazard or violate the covenants. It's all in the bylaws. I could feel my blood pressure rising. Hazard: it's a Ford F-250, parked in my own driveway. It's legal. You don't get to redefine the law just because it's written in some HOA handbook. Trespass is trespass, and attempted theft is theft. If your officer, hell, comes back again, I'll report him straight to the county sheriff. For the first time, the smile wavered from her face just for a second, but then she recovered quickly. You can file all the complaints you want, but know this: the board supports Victor. He's just doing his job. It was clear I wasn't going to get anywhere with her. This wasn't a mistake on her part. She was complicit. Whether it was ego, a desire for control, or something else entirely, she wanted to make the whole seem more powerful than it was. She wasn't going to back down. Fine, I said flatly, but the next time Victor steps onto my property, the sheriff will be waiting. That night, I left for my business trip. Normally, I would have been worried about leaving my truck behind, especially after what had happened. But I wasn't too concerned. My wife, Sarah, wasn't just a homeowner, she was a trained deputy sheriff. If anyone was going to handle a situation like that, it was her. Still, I didn't expect what happened next. 2 days into my trip, Sarah was at home, enjoying a cup of coffee by the window, when she heard the unmistakable sound of chains and the hiss of hydraulics outside. She set the mug down and pulled the curtain back. What she saw made her stomach tighten, but not from fear. There, in the driveway, were 3 men in black vests stenciled with "Whole Cop." One was holding a clipboard, another had a crossbar, and the third was standing by a tow truck, acting like they owned the place. Sarah wasn't scared. She'd dealt with worse in her line of work. She knew exactly what to do. She calmly walked to the door, tucked her pistol behind her back under her shirt, and stepped outside. "Afternoon," she said, her voice casual but firm. "Can I help you, gentlemen?" The clipboard guy didn't even look up. "Ma'am, this vehicle is in violation of HOA code. We've got authorization to tow it. If you've got a problem, take it up with the board." Her voice remained steady. "This is private property. That truck is legally parked in my driveway. You're trespassing." The tallest one stepped forward, flashing a badge that looked like something out of a costume shop. "We're HOA cops. We have the right to enforce community rules." Sarah almost laughed. "HOA cops? Sorry to break it to you, but there's no such thing. Under Texas Penal Code 30.05, you're committing trespass. Try to take that truck, and you're committing attempted motor vehicle theft." The men chuckled like she was being dramatic. One of them muttered, "Lady, go back inside before you get hurt." Sarah wasn't having it. Sheriff training kicked in. In one fluid motion, she drew her weapon and aimed it at them. "Hands up. Step away from the vehicle." The men froze. One dropped his clipboard. Another grabbed for the tow chain. Big mistake. Crack. The shot rang out, tearing through the man's forearm. He screamed in pain and dropped the chain. The third guy lunged at her, but Sarah was faster. She pivoted, holstered her gun in a blink, and tackled him to the ground in one smooth move. The last guy, seeing his friends down, raised his hands in surrender. What followed was a textbook case of law enforcement in action. Sarah had already subdued 2 of them, and with the third begging for mercy, she keyed her radio. Within minutes, deputies arrived and took over. They arrested the 3 fake HOA officers, and the tow truck was impounded on the spot. Back home, I got the call. Sarah, cool as ever, explained how she had handled the situation. The fake officers were charged with criminal trespass, attempted theft, impersonating officers, and more. They had even illegally used HOA funds to pay for the tow truck. The investigation didn't stop there. Marissa Vale, the HOA president, was linked to the entire operation. The charges against her included conspiracy, fraud, and misappropriation of HOA funds. She tried to deny everything, but with her signature on the payment documents, her excuses fell apart. By the time I returned home, my truck was safe and sound, right where I left it. And Sarah, she was waiting for me with a smug grin, arms crossed. Told you nobody was taking your Ford. Thanks to Sarah's quick thinking and sharp instincts, Marissa Vale's little empire came crashing down. The HOA president was forced to resign, faced serious charges, and was sent to prison for her role in the whole scheme.